Let me go ahead and start with a fresh worksheet. And let's talk about another way of getting data into Excel, which is importing data. That is, bringing data in from another data source. Now, since the data sources that most Excel users work with are text files, let's use a text file in order to walk through an example of importing text. There's a text file in the Lesson 2 sample folder, and we're going to go ahead and import that particular file. So we'll start by clicking on the Data tab. Once in the Data tab, you'll see a button called From Text in the Get External group. Click on the From Text, and it's going to ask you where's the text that you want to import. I'm going to go ahead and find the file, and it's right here, the salesdata.txt file, and I'm going to click Import. That particular action activates the text import wizard, which has got 3 steps. The first step is to tell the wizard whether the file that you're working with is delimited or fixed width. Now, without getting into the technical aspects of a text file, delimited basically means that the fields or the columns in the file are separated by characters, whether it be a column or a space or a tab. Fixed width basically means that each particular column or field in the text file are aligned with spaces and need no delimitation. Our file is comma delimited, basically means that there's a comma between every field. I'm going to click Next here. Step 2 of the text import wizard basically asks you which character or characters define the delimitation of your file. So for example, in our file, our fields are delimited by commas. So our fields are comma delimited. So what I'll do is uncheck tab, because our fields aren't tab delimited, and I'll check comma. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice that in this representation of our text file, the fields in our text file now appear to be in their own specific columns, which is a good thing. This is what we want. Now let's move on to step 3. In step 3, you have the option of defining the data types for your fields. So for example, you can define a field as a number or a date or a text. In this case, we don't really care. We just want to import the field. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Finish. Now once I click Finish, a new dialog box pops up. It's the Import Data dialog box. And it basically asks you, okay, so where do you want to put this stuff? So right now, I'm going to go ahead and select A1, which is already selected, and press the OK button. So our file imported successfully. We have lots of data in, and the best part, we didn't even have to type it in or copy and paste it. It was all from an import. Now let's take a moment to talk about what we've got here. Up until now, you've entered data into a single cell, maybe 2 or 3 cells, but as you can see, a lot of cells are filled out here. The difference between this and what you've typed in is all of these cells are somewhat related. What do I mean by related? Well, although each of these cells have their own values, together they all amount to information about another entity, a bigger entity. So for example, I've got some information here on line 2 about the revenues that were brought in by a particular product in the Denver market. Well, that particular row of data has 6 cells in it. Each of those cells have their own values, but together they make up information about the Denver market. Now, if you carry this concept through to all of the rows in this data table, every cell and every row together make up information about transactions. This is a transaction table. It shows the transactions for multiple regions and multiple markets, multiple products, and it shows a lot of revenue information, but it shows it in a block of data, a data table. Tables typically have a couple of attributes. First, a header row. The header row, usually the first row of the table, contains labels describing the data in each column. Next, the data in each row of a column describes the same entity or unit of measure, for example, regions, or markets, or products, or revenues. From here on out, the data that you're going to encounter in these lessons will be in a table format. Now, inevitably, when you have lots of data like this, it's going to be difficult to move around your spreadsheet just clicking one cell at a time. So let's talk a little bit about some of the techniques and tricks that you can use to move around your data more effectively. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a sample file, the Working with Data in Excel file in Lesson 2 folder. Click the Alt-Tab button to get to it. As you can see here, this shaded area is highlighted. I don't really want that highlighted. I'll go ahead and just press Escape and then click on cell A1 to get it to this point.